The following segments are pre-recorded and sponsored by Longworth Productions.
Major funding for Triad Today comes from Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina, making healthcare better for all. This episode first aired in May of 2018 and featured an in-depth conversation with the Reverend Jesse Jackson. Hello everyone, I'm Jim Longworth and welcome to Triad Today Treasures, where we go back to the vault and replay some memorable programs from the past 3 decades. Reverend Jackson was born in Greenville, South Carolina, but here in the Triad we claim him as a native son because he graduated from A&T State University, where he was class president and a star football player. We have a studio audience who's rooting for him and A&T. He went to work for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. at the Southern Christian Leadership Conference in '65, took over Operation Breadbasket in '67, where he increased job opportunities for minorities, not just in Chicago, but nationwide. Reverend Jackson became an ordained minister soon thereafter, and in 1971 he founded Operation Push, People United to Serve Humanity. He organized the Rainbow Coalition in 1984 and merged the two groups in '96. Reverend Jackson made 2 runs for the presidency, first in 1984 and again in '88. Over the years, he's been instrumental in freeing scores of hostages from foreign adversaries and is known for his message of racial unity and economic empowerment. We welcome the Reverend Jesse Jackson to Triad Today. Good to see you.
Good to be home again.
Well, it is home for you. Was that introduction okay?
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's too late to redo it.
Can't redo
no,
it.
I will point out we do have a studio audience where nobody can see them, but you can hear them. And for some reason, I said, "Yeah, come on in," and they're all women. What is it with you?
We have an understanding.
Yeah, you have an understanding. It didn't come from me.
I'm really here to do the baccalaureate for Bennett College tonight.
And we do appreciate
one of the great schools of the country.
Yes,
in so many ways, and so. I'm excited about that.
Dr. Dawkins, all the fine people at Bennett College helped arrange this. We appreciate that. I want to spend a couple minutes before we take our first break, a couple minutes on early years. I know from reading about you that you were baseball, football, basketball, you did it all. Which was your favorite?
Football ultimately, because that's how I got my scholarship. I enjoyed all of it, but football.
Were you better at football than the others, or you just?
Maybe baseball.
Because I heard you had a wicked fastball.
Yeah, I was pretty good at baseball, but football was my meal ticket. And I didn't want to take the risk of not going to school, trying to make it to the major leagues.
Right.
Run the risk, and so I went to Illinois as a freshman, and that didn't work out. So much social dysfunction.
Yeah.
I came to North Carolina A&T and found myself, found my person. So many brilliant people. Dr. Sam Proctor was our president. Dr.
Right.
and Mrs. Royal taught chemistry. Dr. McLaughlin, just a lot of brilliant people kind of hemmed up, and the school had a high sense of social consciousness and dignity. That's why the sit-ins, in some sense, many of them began here right in Greenville.
But let's go back to this baseball thing for a second. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't the New York Giants, of course, there was a baseball team there then, when you and I were growing up, but didn't they wave $6,000 or $7,000 at you and say, "Come on," and you said no?
Well, the White Sox and the Dodgers. There was the Triad camp for whites only, and they allowed me to come in, kind of exceptional, quote unquote, situation. And the money that was being waived was far less than the wave for whites with less ability. That's the first issue. The second is had the choice between going to baseball, trying to make it, and going to college.
Yeah.
And one of the great aspirations of my family, I was the first in my family to finish college, and that was a big family value, to be able to go to college.
Oh, absolutely.
And to finish college. And while he had became student body president, was jailed on mocking them, trying to open the theaters in Morrison's cafeteria. So I kind of learned my skill traits here, and my sense of social. We're working with CORE, Jim Palmer, NAACP, and Roy Wilkins. I later worked with Dr. King after I went to University of Chicago. And so, but I developed my leadership skills at North Carolina A&T.
Absolutely, and a lot of people know of the 4 great guys, the Greensboro 4 that did the sit-in at the lunch counter. However, a lot of people don't remember, unless they're my age or older maybe, that you were the one that really picked that ball up and ran with it and did sit-ins at movie theaters, wade-ins at white pools, things like that, and were responsible for change. A lot of people say, well, Jesse Jackson's too aggressive, but you got things done.
Well, I think the real deal, in all fairness, is that while the 4 brothers made that gallant step, the Bennett women sustained it. Because by that fall, they were back in school kind of moving on the academic journey. The women from Bennett, they showed the strength, the courage to follow through. And so during what I would call the kind of dark period when there was not much activity, the girls never stopped moving.
Yeah.
And so we must, anytime I see the picture, the four of them together, should be a lot of Bennett around them because it was A&T and Bennett. It's a joint venture.
Before we take a quick break, I'm just curious. We've talked sports, we've talked about A&T and everything. When you were a little boy, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Brooklyn Dodger, Jackie Robinson.
That's really odd.
Or Joe Louis.
Yeah, I thought it had something to do with baseball. All right, when we come back with Reverend Jackson, we're going to talk about Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King.
I am so
Why
frustrated.
can no one help me?
Waiting
This is
to
a nightmare.
work. I think it's healthcare is broken.
At Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina, we get it.
Really?
Really. That's why we're making healthcare better for all. Starting with you. Yes, you, Daryl. We're making plans easier to navigate by putting your benefits, prescriptions, and details all in one place. Convinced?
No. But it's a start.
We'll take it. Blue Cross North Carolina. Making healthcare better for all. Starting with you.
Back now on this very special edition of Triad Today with a very special guest, Reverend Jesse Jackson. Reverend Jackson, I'm going to start out with something. I'm going to paraphrase it. I might have it wrong. You can correct me. It's something that Dr. King said. It's something you said. Something along the lines of, what's the use in being able to sit at the lunch counter if you can't afford the hamburger? Now, was that a message that you had that related to economic empowerment and the importance of boycotts as a catalyst for employment?
And it had to do with opening up doors we couldn't afford to go in. Like for example, at the Bennett baccalaureate and graduation. Students will be graduating from college with student loan debt they can't sustain, an uncertain job. When you graduate from college, you really should be getting a debt free that night and a bonus. It should be an incentive to go to college as opposed to so much money being a disincentive.
Right.
You can open up these doors, but you need access to. And then in North Carolina, there are 431,000 called temporary workers. You work right up to the time that you would get full benefits and lay you off. They may hire you again next week, but they keep you on the string. So the work exploitation is significant, and it's multiracial exploitation. Most poor people are not black. They're white and female and young, whether white, black, or brown, hunger hurts. Whatever race you are, you need health insurance. If you keep living, you will need health insurance one day. And a state like this to turn down Medicaid is astonishing to me.
Yeah. And didn't you say one time that 78% of all Americans live paycheck to paycheck?
Yeah, and 54% of African Americans make less than $15 an hour. Almost half of whites make less than $15 an hour. And others who make more than that are in credit card debt. They're in debt for their car, house, clothes, credit cards. So the worker energy is increasing, but the gap between the have and have-nots is getting greater because the very wealthy are so heavily subsidized. Most poor people work every day.
Yeah, I want to talk about your relationship with Dr. King. And again, I might have this wrong, but I seem to have come across some information that the very last thing he talked with you about before he was killed was he looked at you and you were making plans for dinner that night. He says, "Son, don't wear blue jeans to dinner."
No.
Was that that's sort of like a father would tell a son. Was that the kind of relationship you had with him?
Yeah, but what happened was we were supposed to go to dinner at 5 o'clock. He came out about 10 to 6. I was coming across the courtyard. He said, "Jesse, said you're late." I thought, "You're late." He said, "But we're going to Reverend Kyle's home for dinner. You don't even have on a shirt and tie." So I said, "Doctor, the prerequisite of eating is not a tie, it's an appetite." He laughed, and then a few minutes later he was shot. But I think going into that season was most critical. His last birthday, January 15th, he convened about 50 of us, some whites from Appalachia and Smoky Mountains, some blacks from Deep South, some Latinos, Native Americans, some Jewish allies from New York, and to talk about how to end poverty. He thought there should be a floor beneath which no one would fall in the quest for health care and jobs that pay in education. We were preparing to go to Washington in March, even to go to jail. The force of Congress to shift from killing in Vietnam to healing at home. We killed 3 million Vietnamese.
Yeah, horrible.
Lost millions of dollars and lost lives, honor, and the sense of ourselves in that war. And he was protesting. So because he was protesting the war, he was under violent attack.
Yeah.
The media attacked him, fellow civil rights leaders attacked him, the church attacked him. When he died, he was like 55% in the negative among blacks and 75% negative among whites, because he was seen as not fighting the traditional fight.
Yeah, he was bucking the system, and I bet he was sort of like a father to you, right? I mean, is there one lesson that maybe you learned from him as you went forward as his heir apparent? What did you take away?
Well, strong minds break strong chains. You have to study diligently and study every day and pray fervently. And have the courage of your convictions, and see other people, he would call scientific or objective, to see people as they are, not as you would have them to be. So you just put a lot of force on having a good mind and courage and character and being present when it's fight time.
Did you ever fear for your life?
Early on, but when I first went to jail, July 1960, trying to use a public library, and we were arrested. I lost my fear of jails and death at that time, and we were willing to die for the proposition. My father went to World War II, and he had to face the bullets. We didn't have to face bullets in that sense. But what was painful, he came back from the Second World War, and black soldiers had to sit behind Nazis on American military bases. So the sense of double standing agony was a source of pain then and now.
Right. We're going to pick up. I want to ask you a couple things about your run for president in the 80s, and we'll do that when we come right back on this special edition. Hi, I'm Jim Longworth, reminding you that Triad Today also airs on GTN Spectrum Channel 13 and streams on WFMY Plus, free on Roku and Amazon Fire.
The world's brightest are Fulbrights, Goldwaters, McNairs, and Spartans. Prestigious doesn't have to be expensive.
And we know you will make a difference wherever you go.
UNCG. Find your way here.
Back now on Triad Today, there's a very special guest with us, the Reverend Jesse Jackson. And we pick back up. I want to talk just a couple minutes about your run for president, 2 runs for president in 84 and 88. You did very well. You won a whole bunch of primaries. You won Michigan. I mean, you did a great job.
We were blessed to put forth a vision that was a challenging one, in the sense that we argued the virtues of a New South. You know, the architect of the New South is not the king. No Southern governor, except maybe Terry Sanford, stood up for justice for all the people. You couldn't have the Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons behind the cotton curtain if the walls were still up. You couldn't have all this development along I-85 if the walls were still up. You could not have BW and Nissan and Honda and Toyota in the South, because we brought barriers down. And so there's a new growing South that's investment attractive because of that. And that was my first premise. Second premise was that we had to have a free South Africa policy. We had to free Nelson Mandela. That was seen at the time as terroristic. That was not right, but it was very right. So there was a let's talk policy in the Middle East as opposed to a no talk policy. And lastly, to stop drugs and guns from coming in and jobs from going out. I always saw it as a problem then. Drugs in, guns in, jobs out. That's not a good policy.
You had millions of votes, and I guess I thought back then, the thought occurred to me in 84 and 88, why didn't you run after the nomination, after the Democratic nomination that went to other candidates who turned out to be weaker candidates than you? Why didn't you run as an independent?
Well, I was trying to honor the system to the extent that we wanted to expand the base of Democrats at that time. One of my concerns then and now is that people must run for change, not just run for themselves. And I was trying to, by increasing voter registration, many people ran for less other offices. One of the offices I should never forget is my elementary school teacher, Mrs. Shelton. We moved to the other side of town, you know. And Mrs. Shelton, she came into class very erect. She said, upright. Speak from your diaphragm. We were trying to, so I said, who is teachers talking this kind of talk? And so she started writing these big words on the board. I said, big words, she said. These are polysyllabic terms, they're no longer big words. This is Funke Wagner's dictionary, this is Funke Wagner's, and this is Rodgers Thesaurus. So I'll never teach down. One of you little brats might run for governor president one day. I don't want to be embarrassed.
And she wasn't.
When I ran in '84, she retired. She was on my ticket. She won. She became the first black state legislator.
Isn't that something? Isn't that something?
To win in that century. And
will
so
we
it was a
we
joy.
ever elect a president from a third party?
Well, if it's funded well enough. I got 1,200 votes off of $18 million. Now that's just a startup now for primaries. It costs so much to run, and we should reduce the amount of money involved in campaign, because you lose one vote, one person, one vote dynamic when money determines the winner, as opposed to various.
Yeah, 1,200 votes at the nominating convention.
Yeah, and all you need is 2,100 to win. I had $18 million. And I think that maybe one of the biggest things we did was we convinced people that an African-American woman could run. And in '84, I got 400 delegates with 3 million new votes. That seemed strange. They had all those votes, and it was winner take all. So if I got 49.9, somebody got 50.1, they got all the delegates. So we challenged that. In '88, we got proportionality, and I got 1,200 delegates. That didn't seem like much at that time, but when Barack ran in '08, Hillary won California, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, and Texas. On the 8-4 rule, she would have been the winner. But we democratized democracy.
And I think that was a good move, yeah.
He became the winner because we democratized the process.
There was a recent poll that said over half of Americans don't know who their congressman and senator is. Here's a quick question for you. What's the biggest threat to our election system now? Is it Russian hackers or is it voter apathy?
Voter suppression. I spoke in Winston-Salem State last fall of '16. About 7,000 voters in one spot. They moved the precinct 3 miles down the road. I mean, we should have automatic voter registration. Number one, we should take kids come from the high school diploma, one hand, voter card in the other. Graduation should be a high school voter celebration. But you're on the federal register at age 18. You should be automatically registered to vote.
Right.
And the schemes used to undermine voting, gerrymandering, annexation, had a lot of rural purging. A&T got one of the damnedest situations where half the colleges in one congressional, one's in another. I mean, that doesn't intent to use gerrymandering to, in fact, weaken the vote. We espouse democracy, we'll act like it.
Don't practice it. When we return, I want to talk with you a little bit about politics and the media.
I got free meals. What do you mean? No, seriously, how much did you pay us? I didn't pay anything. I learned how to cook all of these fresh foods that were delivered to my house. Everything in that grocery bag that's fresh, I had a recipe for it, and I know how to cook. It encouraged us to eat better, to shop better, make better decisions.
Back now on Triad Today with a very, very special guest. We're very honored to have Reverend Jesse Jackson with us. I want to pick up on politics and the media a little bit, Reverend Jackson. It seems like you can say anything about anybody you want to in the media, the news media, the cable news, social media. Do we need more regulation and oversight of social media and others so you can't just defame somebody?
I prefer it be self-regulation. But we should not defame people because it's immoral and it's wrong and it's misleading of people. You have a case right now where the race baiting and the gender baiting is of such into our country is being torn apart at the seams. And issues that matter are not being discussed. Jobs that pay matter. Lower cost for college education matters. You really should be able, when you graduate, you should get a diploma and a debt relief certificate and a bonus. That's the incentive to go to college.
Yeah.
Values. It's the same is true with health care and access to affordable housing. So that, but instead of focusing on jobs and just we're focusing on attack and counterattack.
Yeah, these things, it really troubles me because people get on and say things about people and they're not true, and I think it harms the political process. But
there's a new museum you must see down in Montgomery. It's the museum for lynching. In this state, 121 African Americans were lynched after slavery. During slavery, we were beaten, but not how to lynch because we were commodities. We were assets. We became free. We became threats. At that time, between 1880 and 1950, 5,000 blacks were lynched. 121 in this state. and we never passed the federal anti-lynching law. We need to pass today a federal anti-lynching. People should not lynch people as a way of resolving conflict.
They're lynching people's reputations too, and I think that's horrible. And somebody that does a lot of social media use, and Twitter is our president, Donald Trump, who has used all sorts of bad language against the various minorities of one kind or another. Here's the question. Is he a racist, or does he just have no people skills?
Yeah, he has people skills, but he exploits the environment. He knows better than what he does. But when you be careful how you treat immigrants and refugees. After when Jesus went to Egypt, he was an immigrant and a refugee. He was a minority under oppression. Be careful how you treat the sick. The woman with the issue of blood, she was sick. I mean, the virtues of the Bible are important, and they should reign high in our politics. Today, too few have too much, too many have virtue nothing. And we brag about almost full employment. 500,000 folk in this state are temporary workers. That's not part-time workers. They work full-time.
Yeah.
And just before they become an employee with benefits, they're laid off.
Yeah.
It's manipulating, using workers to manipulate, and they're setting make one worker afraid of the next worker. So you play out black and white, and the issue really is not black and white, it's wrong and right.
Yeah, we're having a lot of racial strife, which I don't know that it surprises anybody, but I want to get back to this very quickly about the president. Words matter, so if he uses can he use words, can anybody use words that incite other people and cause something like Charlottesville and other things, or am I making too much?
Well, no, I think the truth matters. Not truthful words matter. The Washington Post says in all today's paper, he has lied 3,001 times. That's not a good, and he almost and still gains support from it. It's amazing to me how some of his attacks upon people, how the Southern evangelicals support him blindly. No matter what he does, no matter what he says, no matter how he treats women and minorities, he maintains his following.
Very baffling.
But America at its best must have leaders who can see America through a door, not through a keyhole. We're all fit in the grand scheme of things. We're all God's children, and that matters.
Good thought, and I want to hold that thought and come back to our final segment where we sort of talk about other kinds of policy and legacy, too. We'll be right back.
At Sutton Brothers, we're confident we can help you solve your heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical needs.
So confident that we'll fix it or it's free. Our highly trained technicians will diagnose your problem and fix it with either a repair or replacement.
And if we can't fix it, you won't pay the trip fee.
So the next time you have a problem, call us.
We'll make sure you're completely satisfied.
Guaranteed.
Call Sutton Brothers today and be confident things will be done right. Schedule online at suttonbros.com.
Major funding for Triad Today comes from Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina, making health care better for all. Our final segment with a very, very special guest. We're very honored to have the Reverend Jesse Jackson with us. I want to do a sort of a, as they say on the game shows, a lightning round. I want to hit a lot of topics here on this last one before we run out of time, but they're serious topics. What do we do very quickly to stop some of these mass shootings in schools and churches?
We're the most weapon-driven people in the world. We kill each other. We kill more of each other than anybody. 32,000 Americans are killed a year. We have 300 million guns, 8,000 assault weapons. We were coming in the airport last night. You could sit out there in the car and take an AR-15 and shoot down airplanes. What do we need those weapons for? You don't hunt rabbit and deer. You only hunt to kill people. So we too many guns. And I think people have the right to hunt guns, hunt rabbit and deer and elk. But you don't hunt them with semi-automatic weapons.
No, you don't need something with 500 rounds a minute to hunt a deer.
Well, if you shoot them in that way, you're not a good sport. So there's no value in those except to kill and have a sense of false macho.
99%, I bet, 99% of cops, great people, great men, women of all colors. But there's always road cops who are trigger happy. But I don't see anybody doing anything to try to weed those out of the system. I don't want to indict anybody, but I'm just wondering, do you have a...
Well, we certainly should not indict police in a broad stroke, but those who violate, there's something called a blue code of silence, where they don't tell on each other. No one is above the law, including your right. I mean, no one. I mean, look at the boy Scott killed down in South Carolina. Not only did they kill him, but the other police lied for him. We have the mass killing, 41, Diallo shot 41 times in the back in New York by police. Rodney King beat by police. Police have high roles. Their honor must match their roles, and we must never turn our back on them. But they must also gain kinship with the people.
Is it true that I know that you really loved your grandma Tibby, and she made quilts? Was that the inspiration for the Rainbow Coalition, the quilt?
It really was. You know, when we grew up, we would use wallpaper not for decoration, but to break the wind.
There's a joke in there somewhere.
No, that's real stuff. And so when we got cold, we didn't freeze. She would take old pieces of shirt and dress and coat, and she would wash them out and cut them up and put them on the bed. And some would be silk and cotton and rayon and the like. And while they were on the bed, separate, they were just rags. We should connect them. It became art, a thing of beauty. Using what you had, not complaining about what you didn't have. And so she made the quilt. So I would go to the Democratic Convention, and that would be Native Americans over there complaining about reservation security, and Latinos arguing about language access, and different people arguing. There are more people outside than inside, and together the world is a rainbow. I mean, half of all human beings are Asian, half of them are Chinese. 1/8 of the human race is African, 1/4 Nigerian. 2/3 of our neighbors speak Spanish. English is a minority language in our hemisphere. So most people in the world are yellow, brown, black, non-Christian, poor, female, young, and don't speak English. We must learn to live together as brothers and sisters, die apart as fools. We must learn to live together. I mean, intentionally, we cannot survive in isolation.
Yeah.
Our future is in community, not in isolation. Community, not isolation.
I guess the last thing I want to do before we end is look to the future, which you always do anyway, but let's go 100 years in the future.
Oh, man.
And let's say a student comes up to a teacher and says, I heard about this gentleman, Jesse Jackson. Who is he? What would you like for that teacher to tell that student 100 years ago from now?
Against the odds, he worked diligently. He never stopped serving. He against the odds, he never surrendered.
Great thought. And he never was let into Bennett either.
He tried.
Reverend Jackson, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it, and it's just been an honor to meet you and be with you. Thanks for watching this special edition of Triad Today. I'm Jim Longworth.